It's a very promising morning, no doubt about it. But then again, it's Tuesday, the 16th day in the month of July, 2024. Apparently, we've crossed into the second and indeed the last half of 2024. So, for those of us who made what we popularly would call New Year's resolutions at the start of the year, maybe at the end of the previous one, I hope you're taking stock now. It's the seventh month. Let's see how far we've come. At least that will provide some insight into how much more work we need to do going forward. I'm Wiyag Mofwegbe. As always, I'm super delighted to welcome you to Global Morning. Queen Agaba, my colleague, is also on the show this morning, and it feels great that we are opening together.
Yeah, good morning. as it's supposed to be.
As it should be.
As it should be.
That's right.
I want to believe that you had a beautiful day yesterday.
Yes, beautiful. I'm not so sure about beautiful, but was it productive? Yes, it was productive. It was demanding. Yes, it was productive.
So maybe I would say beautiful is relative. You know, when I say beautiful, but we've come to use that as
a lot, right?
A norm. I hope you had a beautiful, nice dress. I hope you had a beautiful day. I hope you had a beautiful work session, workout session, and all of that. But if you ask me, I think it's something we should adopt. It's
right. Yeah.
It's a positive.
It is 100%.
Yes, it's a positive way of asking, and getting feedback. Well, I did have a beautiful day. It was productive as well because I had to engage in a whole lot yesterday. And we look forward to what today has to offer as we look through the front pages of the papers and topical issues in the country. Yesterday we talked about, Trump.
Exactly.
And then the elections that's forthcoming. And then his assassination attempt. Yes, assassination attempt on Trump and all of that. Some people have come to say that I read something yesterday where someone said, this thing is all an art. And I'm saying, I have not heard of that angle prior to now. In fact, the Two-Face means that, the people all there gathered at the rally are all blacks and, Trump is trying to, pull some Hollywood drama right there and all of that. I don't know. I don't know how much or to what extent you think that would be planned or, just
maybe it was scripted.
And then lives are lost in the process of, but it was reported that the sniper was killed immediately. And then two people got injured, although I haven't seen footages of, those people who were injured and all of that. But to what extent do you think that this can be, an art or a proposed or scripted drama?
Okay, let's delve into it for a minute, Queen. First of all, let's be clear. The bullets that missed former President Trump's right earlobe, all right, brushed against it, actually. Of course, it was at the first day of the Republican National Convention yesterday. We're going to talk about that for a while, all right? And he was band-aided, came with band-aid and all of that. So I don't know if that's part of the scripting we're talking about. That's number one. Number two is that bullet that brushed against his earlobe killed somebody behind him and then injured two persons whom were told had been in a critical condition at that time. So again, I'm not sure if that's part of the scripting. And then the threat, in this case, the sniper was eliminated almost immediately. Again, could that be part of the scripting? All right, so we've seen all of this. So does it mean President Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama, our own President Bola Tinubu, and leaders across the world have been reacting to a script the whole time? What I think is this is either a political or a media propaganda. But whatever it is, it's a propaganda just the same, because there's an extent to which you can script things. If you say the man faked his death, I mean, we didn't witness it, we're not there. I mean, this happened open air in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a swing state, as they say, U.S. politics. So it's more like a battleground for Republicans and Democrats, all right? So it's a game of the survival of the fittest kind of thing. So you don't want to go there to script anything, certainly not something of this magnitude. So that conversation is a wicked
out
angle.
Of the book, yeah. And then for someone like Two-Face to come out and, make a joke out of that scenario, it got me wondering, like, how can, because we saw blood stains on Trump's face and
almost immediately.
Yes, and then we saw the reactions and all of that. Will that also be a script? Well, this and more we need talk about conversations that we would delve into.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break now, everyone. When we return after this break, because we need to bring you taste and texture with Fatimi Umar. Let's see what she's going to have us cook for breakfast this morning, and then we'll get you into the heart of the discussion. Do stay with us. All right, we're going to get to join Fatima in a bit, but before we get back to the issue of President Trump and all of what is happening right now, let's even talk about that for a minute, because yesterday the RNC started Republican National Convention. President Trump now has picked a running mate. All right. The idea, I mean, the choice of running mate is even a talking point in itself, but it just shows that certain things cannot be stopped by certain things. I mean, one would have thought after that attempted attack, I mean, assassination, a lot of things would change drastically. But like he also said, after he had been attacked, there was nothing going to stop the convention. Yesterday, he picked young Senator Vance from Ohio, who is, I mean, one of the youngest senators right now, joined the Senate. In fact, they call him junior senator, as they say in the U.S. Joined the Senate last year. 39 will be 40 in a few weeks in August, all right? The interesting thing, Queen, is this is a guy who had railed against Trump in previous elections. He had called him unprintable names. And people thought, hold on a second, this is ironic. I mean, you guys are members of the same Republican Party. How do you say these things about him? But he said he didn't believe in Trump. And you know what Americans will say? They say, I'm a never Trump guy, which means I can't vote for him, I can't support him. But today, Trump has gone to pick him as his running mate. And just a few hours ago, Senator Vance came to X to express how that he feels highly honored to be running alongside President Trump. And he says that President Trump had delivered prosperity for the country previously, and he hopes he's going to do more this time. So, and Reno Omokri, the controversial Reno Omokri, takes to X, and he's also now enlightening members of the public back at home to say that in politics, there's no permanent friend, there's no permanent enemy, only permanent interest. But there's something that stood out for me in all of the lengthy text that he put out, I mean, by way of post on X, where he said that people must understand that they have a responsibility to play politics with emotional maturity, that no matter who you are supporting. And in fact, he made a very salient point. He said there's essentially no difference, if any, nothing major about, I mean, between President Bola Tinubu and the presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 presidential election, talking about Atiku Abubakar. Because he said if you put the two documents, I mean, their manifestos side by side, you can't highlight a major difference between both. And he says, for him, it's not so much about people, who is doing what. It's about how it ultimately serves the interests of Nigerians. I don't know, you may not like him, you may not be his fan, so to speak, but I like the fact that he says emotional maturity is required to be able to play politics and play it very well. But we're going to delve into all of that shortly, everyone. At this point, let's take a quick break now as we join Fatimi Umar to bring you taste and texture. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not your slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Udi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momadou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the because
that this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work and put us to the wall. We are not your slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Adalu is simply the combination of stewed beans and corn. Hi everybody, welcome back to another savory episode on Taste and Texture. I'm Fatimi Abowman, who would like to have a mouthful of lip-smacking, scrumptious, aromatic, flavorsome and palatable delicacies. Stay with me and let's make this delectable Adalu meal. That's protein punch and a meal you don't want to miss out on. Adalu is a Yoruba corn and beans porridge, native and popular in Yoruba land region, Benin and Togo. Incredibly delicious and incredibly filling. It is comforting meal, not too complicated protein punch. It's deliciously savory and doesn't require a whole lot of finesse to make. It is a delicious fusion of stewed beans and corn. It's nutritious, especially when you don't add too much palm oil. Adalu is a Nigerian food mainly eaten by the people of the western part of Nigeria, the Yorubas. The original name in Yoruba is Ewa Ati Apado, and it's called Agwa na Oka in Igbo language. It's basically one of their delicious dishes. The combination of beans and corn gives it the name Adalu, Ewa Ati Agbado. Adalu is beans and fresh corn cooked together with local seasoning and spices. Most Nigerians love this delicious meal. It is rich in protein and carbohydrate as well. And the ingredients needed are 2 cups of raw beans, 2 ripe plantains, pepper mixture blended, tatashe, rodo, and tomatoes, palm oil, onion, 400 grams of fresh corn or more, salt, seasoning cubes, ground crayfish, optional. And now let's make it. Beans take longer to cook, so avoid adding salt while it's still hot. Always add salt at the tail end of your cooking. If you have a pressure cooker, it cuts down the time and saves energy when used to cook beans. If you don't have a pressure cooker, add potash to the beans as it also speeds up the process. Add chopped onions to the beans, cover with enough water and bring to boil until soft. 95% done. Add sliced plantain and cook for another 10 to 15 minutes. Add more water to beans if need be. Place a pan on medium heat. Add the desired amount of palm oil and heat for about 5 minutes. This process is just to get rid of the curdling taste you get from uncooked palm oil. Add palm oil, pepper mix, salt, fresh corn, crayfish, and seasoning to the beans and cook for another 10 to 20 minutes till all ingredients are well combined. Stir in between to mash beans and avoid burning. Serve adalu with gari or any other side dish of your choice. It is delicious and pleasurable to your taste buds. That's it on today's episode of Taste and Texture. See you same time next time for another luscious staple. Bye.
Thank you, Fatimi. I can promise you that I'm going to try out that recipe, but I wouldn't like to. I like it. Again, thank you. One of the things really giving us concerns right now, since, again, we just saw a bit of food in the kitchen a while ago, is the price, the skyrocketing phenomenon now known as increase in food prices. Just this morning, if you look at the papers, particularly the Punch, you realize that the organized private sector is also complaining, saying that looking at the fact that we're now seeing 40.8% inflation rate, food inflation that is, we need to blame it on insecurity for the most part, because it's no longer news that farmers can't go to farm, all right, and that has also now exacerbated the challenge we're having in terms of the outputs we ought to see regarding food production. And I remember in my first year in the university, a lecturer had told us that one of the hallmarks of countries that are prosperous, countries that are developing in measurable terms, is that they've been able to conquer hunger. But you and I sitting down here today know that we'll both be lying to ourselves if we say that we have conquered hunger, because we are still miles away from that victory, as it were. But whether or not we are making efforts is not in doubt, because we are sure making efforts. But again, the question of whether those efforts are paying off remains unanswered, because in a country where in some places people have to pay, from what we hear, from what we see in videos, to go to their farms. Others are not even able to. Somebody was sharing something with me, even though Global TV cannot independently confirm that there are communities, in fact, he even said it on one of our programs here, up north, where you have people who move to places like Abuja, some of them to even Lagos to work, and be able to send money back to families at home so they can pay terrorists or bandits some sort of levy to allow them to go to farm. So you have young men, for example, working in cities, whether it's Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, or Kano, wherever, and the whole time what they're doing is they're able to save money every other month. They're able to do some sort of remittance back home so that their mothers, their uncles, their fathers can settle, so to say, or pay some sort of taxes or levies to bandits in order to allow them access back to their farms.
To eat. Imagine having to pay for your own land that you already own, and having to pay to farm subsistently for your family, or even, go commercial. That's really saddening. It's a life that it looks like a trap. You are confined as to doing. I can say, because I'm from Benue State, and I know of communities where people have fled from because of terrorist attack and bandit attack, where they're being attacked constantly. And so you're driving through an entire village and you cannot find a single person because of these attacks. They come in, shoot people. They've had to run countless times from their sleeps at midnight just so that they can run away from such attacks. And it's saddening. It's saddening. So how can we attain or get to that point where we say where we can talk about food sufficiency in the country, and where we can say we've conquered hunger? So first of all, we need to conquer terrorist attack, insecurity. We need to deal with that, nip that in the bud. Having to pay. Imagine having to have young girls, young boys, rather than send money to their parents to enhance their farm work, buy fertilizers, buy resources, buy tools. You have to send money for them to pay terrorists to allow them farm. So we have a long way to go. It's really a long way, because that money being sent to them to pay or bribe terrorists to allow them farm could have gone a long way in developing their farms and developing the inputs from their farm. So I don't think that we can say that we are getting to the place where we can say, talk conveniently about food sufficiency.
It's a sad narrative, but we hope we are able to run circles around these as quickly as possible. Let's talk business for a second. We have Kikelamo Okiri now bringing us a snapshot of business at the close of activities yesterday. Behind that, we'll bring you the Global AM News. Do stay with us, everyone.
The presidency, through the State House, has spent at least 16.06 billion naira to buy foreign currency for international trip in the past 1 year under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. This is according to an analysis of data from GovSpend, a platform by Budget which tracks, analyzes, and presents federal government spending over time. Covering a period from June 23, 2023 to May 25, 2024. The data includes spending by the President, Vice President, First Lady, and the Chief of Staff to the President. It also includes the purchase of foreign exchange for the Presidential Air Fleet. In the 2024 budget, the State House President and Vice President have a total budgetary allocation of 14.5 billion naira for international trip. There is no allocation for the First Lady and Chief of Staff to the President for international travel. The GovSpend data shows that about 6.24 billion naira was spent in 2023 between June and December. By 2024, about 9.82 billion naira has been spent between January and May. It means that the presidency has spent about 67.72% of its international trip budget in the first 5 months of 2024. The ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development says it is issuing sustainable bond worth 187.96 billion naira, aimed at boosting the economy of West African countries. The ECOWAS Bank disclosed these via its X handles. The bank says the fund will support agriculture, renewable energy, health, and industry projects in the region, resulting in high social impact. The bank revealed that the bonds are aimed at financing the private sector through loans and guarantees to businesses. The bond issued by public offering is part of the bank's strategic plan to finance investment to boost the economy of its member states. The initiative is set to correspond to the third tranche of the FCFA 240 billion naira fundraising operation previously launched by the bank on the regional financial markets. Institutional inflow into investment products of digital assets has hit a new record of $17.8 billion year to date, with Bitcoin and Ethereum leading the pack. This new record spells the beginning of a possible recovery of the general crypto market, which follows a very impressive week for the crypto asset investment products, pulling in over $1.44 billion in inflow last week, with Bitcoin pulling in over $310 million alone in July 12. CoinShare data reveals that the year-to-date inflow for all crypto assets has reached $17.8 billion, surpassing the previous record of $10.6 billion in 2021. The CoinShare report, which they shared on their Medium blog, revealed that the biggest share of the inflow came from United States buyers and Switzerland-based buyers, also making record amounts of investment. Bitcoin ETF experienced its fifth largest week of institutional inflow, pulling in over $1.35 billion, including a whopping $310 million on July 12 alone. This impressive inflow of funds to Bitcoin ETF helped push the price of primary crypto assets to about 60,000 naira and currently $63,000. CoinShare argued that the impressive buying activities around Bitcoin last week is a result of the deep cost by the massive sell-off of 50,000 Bitcoin assets by the German government. The lower price of the Bitcoin inspired investors to increase their Bitcoin portfolio by investing heavy amounts in it. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the because
that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights,
Hello and welcome to all of our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. The federal government has donated 20 trucks of rice to each of the 36 state governors and the Federal Capital Territory for onward distribution to Nigerians. Addressing State House reporters after the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said the rice is for the most vulnerable citizens, stating that the Tinubu administration is committed to making sure that Nigerians have food on their table. The federal government says it has reached an agreement with the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to allow Nigerian passport holders obtain visas for travel to the United Arab Emirates starting from July 15, 2024. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris announced this when he briefed State House correspondents following the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. The announcement comes more than 2 years after the UAE had suspended visa issuance to Nigerians, occasioned by a period of protracted diplomatic row with Africa's most populous nation. President Bola Tinubu has reinstated Professor Zeni Barani Zabi as the project coordinator of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, announced Zabi's reinstatement in a statement. Explaining the reason for the reversal, the president said that he reached the decision following a performance review of the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project's coordinators, whom he assessed to be fit to discharge his functions by the regulations guiding the execution of the project. Journalists were barred from conveying or covering the case involving the suspended Dukes of Benin Kingdom and the Oba of Benin, Ewari II, when the hearing resumed yesterday at Court 6 of the Benin High Court in Edo State. The case will also start afresh on October 17 with a new judge due to a posting within the state's judiciary. Justice Peter Akinhero presided over the case initially. However, the matter would now be heard by Justice Mary Nekbe Asemota. The suspended dukes, led by the Duke of Ewobanosa and Egbain Siloko Dukedoms in Benin Kingdom, Professor Gregory Akenzua and Chief Edowoyi Ogegbain, are challenging their suspension from office by the Oba of Benin. In the meantime, a prominent museum in the United States had returned looted Benin bronze to the Oba of Benin Ewari II. A chief press secretary to the Oba Osagbo Igobaro said in a statement that the Benin monarch received the artifacts, noting that the items had been looted from the Oba's palace more than a century ago. Let's turn to Kwara State now, where a high court sitting in Ilorin, the state capital, has fixed August 2nd, 2024 for judgment in the bloody April 5, 2018 Ofa robbery attack. The development is coming after a protracted trial that had lasted over 6 years. Presiding Judge Halima Salman adopted the final written addresses, which contained arguments of the two lead counsel in the matter. The judge, however, said that the August 2nd, 2024 date for judgment is tentative. And still talking judicial matters, a Kano State High Court, presided over by Justice Amina Aliyu, has perpetually restrained Aminu Ado Bayero and 4 other deposed emirs of Bichi, Rano, Gaya, and Karaye from parading themselves as emirs. Delivering the judgment, Justice Aliyu further restrained the 15th emir of Kano and the 4 dethroned emirs by themselves, servants, privies, and any other persons appointed by them from parading themselves as emirs of the respective emirates. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted thundery and rainy weather activities from Monday to Wednesday across the country. The agency's weather outlook released in Abuja forecast morning thunderstorms over parts of Taraba, Adamawa, Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, Kano, and Kaduna states. The outlook also predicts thunderstorms over parts of Taraba, Kaduna, Yobe, Katsina, Kano, Borno, Bauchi, and Jigawa states later in the day. The National Media Complaints Commission, also called the Ombudsman, has written to Daily Trust's owners of Daily Trust newspapers requesting a response to the federal government's formal complaint on the newspaper's reports on the Samoa deal. In a letter dated July 12 and signed by Faye Smith, the interim secretary of the commission, Daily Trust is expected to file a formal response to the complaint filed by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, which alleged that Daily Trust's reports on the Samoa deal was fake news published for public incitement. In response, the Group Chief Executive Officer and Editor-in-Chief of the print arm of the media outfits, Ahmed Shekarau, said the newspaper will respond to the letter within the specified time frame. The Nigeria Customs Service Ogun Area 1 Command has warned the public against the consumption of smuggled frozen poultry products due to its health implications. In an interview in Ota, Ogun State, the command's controller, James Ojo, stated that the World Health Organization, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Food and the Agriculture Organization of the United Nations described the consumption of smuggled frozen poultry products as having adverse effects on the health of people. Kaduna State's Governor Uba Sani has announced plans by the state government to steadily reduce the current congestion issues within Kaduna metropolis by establishing additional interstate terminals to ease the movement of people and goods. The decongestion plans were made known during the launch of the newly constructed Mando Interstate Transportation Terminal. Governor Sani highlighted the importance of the terminal in generating revenue, enhancing security, and creating both direct and indirect employment opportunities for the youth. Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, Professor Idris Bugaje, has announced the suspension of the implementation of the schemes of service for polytechnic staff in the country. Professor Bugaje stated that the recently approved schemes of service for the polytechnics has been circulated and proposals for amendments to address grey areas have been sent to the head of service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi Eson. The suspension of the scheme follows the rejection of the draft documents by the Association of Staff Union of Polytechnics last week to go on strike in 15 days if the federal government fails to suspend the implementation. You're watching the AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on Star Times, channel 276. Remember to follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When the news returns, opposition candidate Habineza optimistic on polls outcome in Rwanda election. We'll tell you about that and bring you more stories right behind this short break. We urge you to stay with us.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
This is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of the AM News. Thank you so very much for your time with us. On the foreign scene, Nepal's Khadga Oli was sworn in as Prime Minister after his Communist Party forged a coalition government with the center-left Nepali Congress, shifting power in the country's often volatile parliament. Oli, 72, chief of the second largest in the parliament, the Communist Party of Nepal, unified Marxist-Leninist, returns as Prime Minister for the fourth time. In the Himalayan Republic of about 30 million people, overshadowed by giant neighbors India and China, Oli previously trod a fight between the rivals, cordial to both, but reaching out to Beijing to increase Nepal's dependency on New Delhi. Democratic Green Party of Rwanda presidential candidate Dr. Frank Habineza says he will win the 2024 elections with at least 55% of the votes and secure at least 20 seats in the parliamentary elections. Habineza made the remarks after casting his votes in the company of his pals and waited on by different supporters.
In our country, we were able to campaign the whole country for 3 weeks, and there were no serious incidents or no big problems that you could make issues we found were ignorable. So we said that it's a big step. You found that people of Rwanda have really matured politically. They received us happily. They welcomed us. They gave us gifts on the way. They danced for us. So you would see that the country really has grown, developed democratically. It's so much different from 2017. My expectation, as I mentioned this last week, that I'm hoping to get at least 55% of the vote for president and at least 10 times more MPs. We had 2 MPs last time, so we're hoping to have at least 20 MPs this time.
Meanwhile, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, feared and admired in equal measure, is seeking to extend his 24-year rule in an election analysts say he will win by a landslide. He has dominated every election since becoming president in 2000 with over 90% of the votes. In 2017, he won with a staggering 99% in an election criticized by human rights groups. Kagame, 66, is accused of not allowing any real opposition and ruthlessly targeting his critics, even outside the country. Elsewhere, China has posted lower than expected growth in the second quarter, with all eyes on how top officials gathering for a key meeting in Beijing might seek to tackle the country's deepening economic malaise. The world's second largest economy is grappling with a real estate debt crisis, weakening consumption, and an aging population. Trade tensions with the United States and the European Union, which have sought to limit Beijing's access to sensitive technology, as well as putting up tariffs to protect their market from cheap, subsidized Chinese goods, are also dragging growth down. Britain's Foreign Secretary David Lammy has reaffirmed his call for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war during a second day of talks with Israeli leaders. Isaac Herzog said the more than 100 hostages still in Gaza, the terrible circumstances and real danger for their lives were the key issue for Israel. Lammy, on his first Middle East trip since his Labour Party's landslide win in the British election, had already called for a halt to hostilities in a meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Region, this most complex and challenging of regions at this time.
First and foremost, the underlying interest is to bring our hostages back home. So I hope and I know that your government is working extremely tirelessly to get our hostages back home, and I thank you very much for your efforts on this issue. Our hostages, our brothers and sisters who are in captivity, in terrible circumstances, in real danger for their lives. We are working tirelessly to get them out. I sincerely hope that there will be a deal, a hostage deal soon. It is a very important step to also on the merits and to get us out of the conflict first.
Officials say he also met Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa, with whom he pressed the case to reform to the country. Russia has denied a plea from a Siberian shaman for transfer out of a severe psychiatric hospital over 3 years after being confined for protesting President Vladimir Putin. Alexander Gabyshev, 55, was sent to a psychiatric hospital in January of 2021 after reportedly attempting to walk from his native Yakutia in Russia's Far East to Moscow in a bid to exorcise Putin from office. His lawyer, Alexei Pryanishikov, says a Siberian court refused to soften his treatment and transfer him to a general psychiatric hospital in May, a decision Primorsky Regional Court upheld just yesterday. And back home in Africa, Gambian lawmakers have voted to uphold the 2015 ban on female genital mutilation, rejecting a controversial bill seeking to overturn the law after months of heated debates and international pressure. Legislators killed the bill by voting against all the proposed amendments to the 2015 text that would have decriminalized the practice. Rights groups and the United Nations had urged members of parliament to reject the bill, saying it threatened years of progress and would have seen the Gambia become the first country to overturn a ban on female genital mutilation. And out of business, the Nigeria Customs Service Lily Pond Export Command says that 2,488 export containers with duty paid value of $184.8 million were handled by the command between April and June of this year. The command also says that its payments into the Nigeria Export Supervision Scheme for the period under review stood at 1.2 billion naira. The Customs Area Controller in charge of the command, Ajibola Odusaya, made this known in a statement. The World Bank, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, has expressed readiness to spend $10 million for Nigerian youths to acquire the critical skills needed for employment. The World Bank education specialist, Dr. Matsura Rufai made this known at a two-day workshop for grantee of the Innovation Grant Facility in Abuja. The workshop was organized by the Innovation Development and Effectiveness in the Acquisition of Skills Project of the Federal Ministry of Education. The President and Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliko Dangote, has disclosed that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery will be listed in the Nigerian exchange before the end of March 2025. Let's talk numbers for you in business. Nigeria's inflation rate has increased to 34.19% in June 2024. That's what is shown by data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. This represents an increase of 0.24% from the previous headline inflation rate of 33.95% in May. On entertainment, American rapper and singer-songwriter Elizabeth Eden Harris, professionally known as Cupcake, has demonstrated her support for the Palestinian cause with a donation to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. The donation comes amidst the ongoing conflict in the region. In a post via X, formerly called Twitter, Cupcake, while sharing a screenshot of her donation of $15,510.60, encouraged others to follow her lead. This show of support echoes similar gestures by fellow artist Kelani, who recently revealed that her advocacy for Palestine had led to lost opportunities and deals. And in sport, Lautaro Martinez has scored an extra-time winner as Argentina beat Colombia 1-0 to win a record 16th Copa America title at the Hard Rock Stadium. A poor game which had been marred by security and crowd issues, forcing an 82-minute delay, was decided by a quality finish from Martinez, his fifth goal of the tournament. The win was the third straight major tournament title for Argentina following the 2021 Copa victory and their triumph in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. There were tears before the celebrations, though, with Argentina captain Lionel Messi going off injured in the 66th minute, watching the rest of the game distraught on the bench, while there was an emotional farewell for Angel Di Maria in his final game for the national team. And that's all we have for you on the AM News, and it came to you live on global television from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember that we are live on Star Times and on channel 276. You can kindly follow us across all our social media platforms using our Global TVNG and other handles as you now see on your screen. I'm Uyag Mofwebe, thanking you for watching. The rest of Global Morning with Queen Agaba and I continues shortly. Do stay with us.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV because it's going to change your life.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okere tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point. This is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung and Emil Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momadou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians.
Because that this country gets it right.
Who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Animal Joseph on Global Television.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work and put us to the wall. We are not the slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Road, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and a repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Many thanks for staying with us. Well, now it's time for us to bring the papers for you, and we're looking at the front page of the Daily Times newspaper now. The big story there says, Court restrains Ado Bayero, 4 others from acting as emirs. This is the emirship tussle. Rider says, others deposed emirs to surrender all properties in their possession that belong to Kano State Emirate Council to state government. There are indices that Nigeria's economy is doing well. Senator Sani Musa, as NNPCL promises again, PH refinery begins production early August. Will amend House rules to receive petitions via e-platforms, says Speaker. Nigeria's inflation soars as food prices surge to 40.89%. Food shortage. Federal government donates 20 trucks of rice each to 36 states. Illegal mining. FG loses $9 billion annually, says House Committee. And we have Senator Dave Umahi, an indigenous innovator, doyen of human capital transformation, right there. These are the stories we have on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. Our next point of call will be the Daily Trust.
There was a story that caught my eye there, Queen, when you talked about how that we were losing about $9 billion annually to illegal mining. You know, sometime earlier this year, the Honorable Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alaki, told Nigerians and, excuse me, even non-Nigerians who probably cared to listen, that there are powerful Nigerians behind the phenomenon today called illegal mining. Of course, they give us names. Hopefully, the security agencies know the names of those people. But let's do the numbers, all right? At the prevalent exchange rate, whether you're looking at the autonomous markets, you're looking at the black market, as they call it, whatever window of the foreign exchange markets you're looking at it from, that money is in excess of 11 trillion. All right. So think for a second what 11 trillion can do for a country like Nigeria that desperately needs help in health, in education, in social infrastructure, in several other areas. All right. Not too long ago, a couple of months ago, we also heard that the federal government was now considering the idea of mining police. In other words, a kind of policing system that will be exclusive to the mining sector. Whether that is going to happen, how soon it will happen, we are not so sure. But you see, when you continue to have this kind of systemic problem in a sector as vital as mining, you know that there are powerful people, like Mr. Alake said, that are behind it. It's the same thing you have with regards to oil and gas, for instance. I mean, look at what we hear about crude, for example. So at what point will government be able to deal with all of these issues and stop telling us about how much you're losing? Because when we have this kind of conversation, the impression we're creating is that you have some ghosts, some invisible hands that just come to steal these resources away. But these are human beings. These are real people who come there to these places. Look at even Oyo State the other time, not too long ago, sometime in May or April, when there was a blast there. The governor, Seyi Makinde, had to even tell Nigerians that, look, we have more illegal miners in these states than we can count. As a matter of fact, many of them unlicensed, unregulated. In fact, they are off the radar as far as the authorities are concerned. So who regulates those people? Look at how much of danger it puts the lives of people in when you have to mine illegally. But who really is having that conversation? In a matter of a few years from now, Dele Alake will be out of office. So the question is, what would have changed within this period of time when he is the minister serving that ministry, right?
Very, very salient question.
But then we need to look at daily trusts for you as well. Let's make it a daily routine. Quickly, big story on the front of the Daily Trust this morning. It's one that is also very troubling. All right, talks about the issue of bandits and banditry. Says two babies among adoptees. So what happens to those babies, whether or not their mothers are with them? Some women escaped with broken limbs. Obviously, that must have happened in a bid to scamper to safety, but then they ended up with broken limbs. All right, this is quite sad, but what more can we say that we already haven't said? We sincerely apologize for that disruption in our broadcast, one of those technical issues, really. But then we're just looking at the papers for you, and we're looking at daily trusts in particular. Then this interesting headline just above the Star story that says, National Assembly mulls Constitution review for INEC to conduct LG polls. That's one of the strands in our discussions this morning. FG donates 20 trucks of rice to each state's FCT, 20 trucks. We understand in all, we're looking at over 44,000 bags of rice to all 36 states, including the FCT. So 20 trucks, that's a whole lot of rice to disperse. But isn't that a drop in the ocean, given where we are as a country and the number of people you're talking about, households generally? Trump emerges presidential candidate, picks J.D. Vance as his running mate. Did I hear you say the U.S. election is getting more interesting by the day? Of course, the The Democratic National Convention is also around the corner. Let's see what happens with President Joe Biden and the divisions within the party, and of course those now calling specifically for him to step aside, and so the party will be able to float, as it were, a different candidate. But that in itself is going to be a difficult pull for the Democrats because it means funding cycle will begin from scratch, unless, of course, by all means, they are going to project Vice President Kamala Harris, which doesn't seem like a possibility as it stands right now. But time will fail us to have that conversation, really. In the meantime, let's turn to the left corner of today's Daily Trust newspaper. It says PH Refinery takes delivery of 1 million barrels of crude. Looks like some lights at the end of the tunnel, but how bright it shines is yet to be seen by Nigerians. Court restrains Bayero 4 others from parading selves as emirs. Hardship, don't stage protests, clerics urge youth. Travel agents excited as UAE lifts visa ban on Nigerians. I don't know why I feel Queen is also excited because many Nigerians love to visit the United Arab Emirates, and they feel this is, this gives them an opportunity to heave a sigh of relief. It's been 2 years since this ban, but today, just like President Bola Tinubu had promised last year, it's a dream come true for Nigeria, not just because citizens can travel back and forth, but there's also a lot of trade going on between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates.
That stopped as a result of
exactly that ban, yes. And now that ties, cordial relations have been restored. We hope we'll return to winning ways together for Nigeria and for the United Arab Emirates. So let's take you to The Guardian now with Queen bringing us those headlines.
Yeah, I hope there's the story that caught my attention from the Daily Trust. I want to believe that we'll still have that story on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. But let me go back. It says that the federal government donates 20 trucks of rice to each state, FCT.
Including FCT, yes.
FCT, yes. Each state. And that means each state in the FCT.
Well,
each state of Nigeria.
Yes, exactly. That's what it means.
But that means that's over 720 trucks. So I'm saying 20 trucks times.
Yeah, by 36 states.
By 36 states. Okay, that is commendable from the federal government. But I'm particularly concerned as to how the distribution of these bags of rice. Now, we clearly know that this has been given up by the federal government. There are a lot of initiatives and programs and elevation programs that the federal government engages in. But because we hear of this, our major concern has always been, do we see the distribution process? Do we get to see people, see how fairly and evenly distributed these bags of rice are? And do they get to the people who are the people that get this bag of rice? Who are the people? How can we, follow through the process to understand how it's being given out? Who do we say that this rice is for? Because we know clearly that even if 20 trucks is a lot, it still cannot cover the entire states as to families and individuals in that state. So how is the distribution process going to be like? I want to follow through that story, and I want to see that it is evenly distributed, that we see that these bags of rice that are given out is well and evenly distributed and gets to those who it should get to, or people who needs this sort of elevation the most.
Right.
So I would still just go to...
You're obviously concerned about the modalities for the distribution, because we have seen this happen again and again. We saw one in those states where a female party member was beaten and her clothes torn in the process of trying to share the largesse from government, because that's how we see it, as largesse from government. But we hope these bags of rice, for the most part, don't also end up in the hands of party sympathizers, party leaders, godfathers, and the boys, the Hallelujah boys, as they call them. But again, we turn to The Guardian.
The Guardian newspaper, big story we have there is Nigerians at risk of food crisis as inflation hits new record. Senate enacts new law to liquidate 30 trillion naira ways and means. prices of food and the percentage difference between March 2024 and June 2024. We have pictorial representation here on the Guardian newspaper. You can pick a copy to take a look at the price surge. Again, Kyari gives early August promise on Port Harcourt refinery. Pro-Wike lawmakers block Fubara's access to funds. Tinubu may transmit minimum wage bill to National Assembly next week. Again, court bars Bayero and 4 others as monarchs. Lawan disowns anti-Tinubu comment and moves to sanction Ndume. Defense chief links illegal miners to influential people, because why not? Why have we still been, on this issue of illegal miners, and we can't seem to get a headway? 16 political parties withdraw from local government poll in Osun. And lastly, we have much ado about Samoa Agreement, LGBTQ rights. These are the stories. Okay, we still have that story on The Guardian. Federal government distributes 740 trucks of rice to address hunger. These are the stories we have on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. Our next point of call will be Nigerian
News Direct. That's right. Okay, so let's go directly. All right, News Direct. This morning, above the nameplate, that's what we're starting from. Top left corner, Lagos CIG Motors Link deal to roll out, Inc. deal, I should say, to roll out 5,000 new smart taxis. Lagos CIG Motors Inc. deal to roll out 5,000 new smart taxis. And then there's a headline that has a picture of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Rivers State Governor. There, Rivers Fractional Assembly shut down Fubara's expenditure. Again, FG distributes 44,440 bags of rice to 36 states. FCT, UAE resume issuance of visa to Nigerian passport holders. And then far above the name mast, Emirship crisis, court restrains Ado Bayero orders to stop parading themselves as emirs. And then the Star story, stakeholders jittery as inflation rate hits 34.19%, 28-year high. All right, which means we've never seen anything like this since return to democracy in 1999. But then let's look at the two riders for you. Weak foreign reserves responsible for high inflation rates, as according to Ayo Teriba. Cost of production, unemployment, major drivers of high inflation, former CIBN President Ajibola. All right, that's the much we have for you. We can't continue to talk about inflation, so we don't leave you feeling all gloomy this promising Tuesday. Let's turn to Queen now, who has headlines from the Punch newspaper for us.
On the front page of the Punch newspaper, big story here. We have OPS blames insecurity as food inflation hits 40.8%. The writer says MBS links inflation to rising prices of millet, gari, yam, fish, groundnut oil, and others. Nasima, LCCI, others lament insecurity, seek rural infrastructure investments. Trump emerges Republican candidate, picks 39-year-old as running mate. Just above the nameplate, we have $1.8 billion fuel stolen from refineries in 9 years. Excitement as UAE lifts visa ban on Nigerians. Never knew I would live to be 90, Wole Soyinka says. And we have Umelji projects over 1 trillion naira Zenith Bank profit in 2024. Cholera cases rise to 2,809 in 33 states and 148 local governments. Lagos alleys fear over LCDA's Oyo Taraba setup panels. Oyo Taraba setup panels, yes.
And that's talking about the local government autonomy. Yes, yesterday news came through that the Taraba state government has set up panel by way of implementing these order of the Supreme Court, the judgment of the Supreme Court regarding local government autonomy. Incidentally, that's one of the discussions we have this morning because life begins at the grassroots in terms of developments. They say you can't put something on nothing. So if you get it wrong at the base, I wonder what you want to go to the top to do. Every time we talk about development at whatever level, everybody seems to be turning towards the federal government. Whereas there are things that the local governments and the states should be doing even constitutionally. And that's why we have the different lists, the exclusive lists, the concurrent lists, and of course, the residual lists. That's a story for another day. But let's look at the Daily Sun newspaper real quick. Now, on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper, the big story there reads, mass protest looms. First rider will demonstrate against Tinubu, vows Sheikh Gumi. And second rider says president's aide warns against demonstration. President aides warns North against demonstration. All right. Rising food prices. Nigeria's inflation hits 40.87%. And the rider tells us FG distributes 20 trucks of rice per state. FCT. And then at the foot of the Daily Sun, FG UAE agree on resumption of travels. And then let's take you to the right corner of the front page of the Daily Sun. Tinubu may send minimum wage bill to NAS next week, meet Labour Thursday. We hope this meeting is not shifted again. It's just in 2 days' time, so we can resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Herdsmen killed 13 in renewed Benue attacks, 5 missing. It's sad, but we have to do what we have to do about this issue. Otherwise, we'll keep reading very gory newspaper headlines. All right, I will hope that doesn't continue. Kano Emirates court stops Bayero for others, restrains them from parading themselves as emirs. Autonomy, Argon seeks upward review of revenue accruing to local governments. Okay, we hope that happens. First things first, now they have autonomy. Let's see what happens with regards to upward review of what they get as allocation every other month, especially now that on the strength of this judgment by the Supreme Court, allocations will now be paid directly to the local government themselves, not through some joint accounts, which we understand governors have a problem releasing to the local governments in their states. Okay, let's take you to The Nation, a newspaper. That's our next port of call now, with several stories on the front page.
On the front page of The Nation newspaper, we have several stories. Big story says Nigeria to export petroleum products by December, says NNPCL. PH refineries begin operations next month. Food cost pushes inflation rate to 34.19%. Federal government shares 740 truck loads of rice to states. How illegal miners fuel insecurity by Abbas, CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff. Kano court stops Bayero, 4 others from acting as monarchs. UAE restarts visa issuance to Nigerians. OK's Airlines. Amayewule led halts spending by Governor Fubara. And lastly, allocation freeze. States set timetables for council elections. We have one last story here. Lagos signs pact to boost Lagrid with 5,000 vehicles. And we have another story. This happens to be the very last. Nigeria tightens border security after Niger Republic jailbreak. I saw this morning that I saw a video where someone was, asking people to be very careful, very cautious. The people they employ as drivers, cleaners, and maids, they should check their background and check their history because of the jailbreak that happened in Niger Republic and, amounted to the release of, hundreds of hardened criminals, terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and all of that. And, we share borders with, Niger and all that. So it's most likely that these people would find a way to get into Nigeria. And so we've been cautioned to be extra careful as these people have just left prison. And it makes me want to wonder, when I hear of jailbreaks like this, especially prisons where we have criminals, very hardened criminals. These are not petty thieves. These are not people who steal by the roadsides. These are people who have been convicted for terrible crimes such as murder, kidnapping, killing, rape, very heinous crimes. And I'm wondering the circumstances that must have led to, the prison being, to this outburst of these people leaving prison. How is it? What must have transpired? I'm yet to read into that story, but we need to be careful. We need to be extra careful, and we need to also check our facilities, whether they are wearing out, check for ions, especially where you're housing criminals, hardened criminals like this. There should be constant and regular checks to ensure that the facility is not just okay or convenient for them, but check for cracks in the wall, because these are criminals. They will do anything. I've seen cases where criminals begin to just punch the cement over and over and over, create a hole. They dig it up. Yes, they dig it up for years, just so that they can create an escape route. So we need to be extra vigilant and intentional. So these are the stories we have on the front page of
So we're going to the Tribune next, everyone. Let's turn to the Nigerian Tribune for you quickly. Above the nameplate is a headline there with a picture of the CBN governor, Alayemi Cardoso, says inflation rate hits 34.19% amid rising food costs. Dangote company's projected $30 billion revenue will boost Naira value. LG autonomy, FARC missed a day as FG may delay implementation of Supreme Court judgment for 3 months. Oyo will prioritize its people, deal with challenges. That's Governor Makinde talking. You can read up details on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune today. Right, Umeoji showcases Zenith Bank's strong financial performance. UAE resumes visa issuance to Nigeria. Court adjourns suit against Oba of Benin till October 17, that's in another 3 months. IGP suspends ECMR enforcement. Pro-Wike lawmakers bar Fubara from spending government funds. There have been controversies around the budget presentation, which the governor had done previously, but of course we know how that the House got polarized at some points. There have been, there's been a litany of court cases, and today we understand some 26 lawmakers led by Martin Amaewule are now, of course, who have been loyal to Nyesom Wike, former governor and now minister of the FCT, are now saying, look, you can't spend any more from state funds until you do a fresh presentation of the budget. Incidentally, and very interestingly, this budget in question is already in enforcement, that it's already been implemented. But how do you represent a budget that's already been implemented? But again, that's what politics does once it interferes in issues around the economy. So let's look at a few more headlines for you from the Tribune this morning. Minimum wage, Tinubu to send supplementary budget to NAS. Meets organized labor Thursday. FG distributes 740 trucks of rice to states FCT. Kano court restrains Bayero 4 others from parading themselves as emirs. That story is quite frankly replicated across newspapers this morning. Let's take you to the Vanguard now, real quick.
Yeah, the Vanguard happens to be our last point of call today. Big story on the Vanguard newspaper. We have controversy as manufacturers reject MBS inflation figures. Inflation is 34.19% in June. MBS No, it's over 90%. Nasima beats all analysis. Forecast. Highest in Edo, Kogi, Cross River. Lowest in Nasarawa, Bauchi, Adamawa. Analysts blame policy failures, recommend solutions. Federal government, World Bank plan 3.5 million naira electricity meters rollout. Zenith Bank showcases strong financials to exceed 1 trillion naira profits in 2024. Our projected $30 billion revenue will boost naira value, Dangote. And then hunger. States get 20 trucks each as federal government shares 740 lorry loads of rice. IGP bows to pressure, orders suspension of ECMR enforcement. Emirship tussle. Kano Court upholds dethronement of Bayero and 4 others. Asaba poised to select new Asagba. New Super Eagles coach must qualify for 2026 World Cup. Okpala. These are the stories that we have on the front page of the Vanguard. But just I was, a bit more intrigued by the story of the new Super Eagles coach, who is demanding over about $180,000
per month
to be the coach to coach the Super Eagles.
Don't tell me you are eyeing his job.
Yes, that's where I'm going to. I'm like, really? You mean coaches earn as much as
they earn even far more
almost
in Europe?
3 million naira if we're to convert
per
in
day?
naira per month.
Yes, per month.
Per month, yes. And let's not talk about the other side. Besides the monies that come
the
on
fringe
the side,
benefits,
the benefits,
all of the
and all of that. And
yes.
I'm like, wow. So what does it take to be a coach? Am I looking to? Is it too late? A lot of thoughts came to mind. Is it too late to look at a career in football?
Right.
What do I need to do to navigate or change my career?
Do a career switch.
Do a career switch.
Right.
So I'm just thinking, did you at any point in time want to go into football? Have you ever thought about the salaries of these coaches and the benefits that come with
I have.
being in the
I've not even
football?
thought about the coaches because I think the coaches probably are paid less compared to the A-list footballers themselves, right? Look at the other time when Osimhen's bid became really topical. You'll be hearing 135 million euros, you'll be hearing 150 million euros, 115 million euros and all, and you're wondering. And then when you do the math, in terms of FX dynamics around here, you realize that you're looking at tens of billions. And you realize he's a guy, at least from what we know, is under 30. Do you understand? And you're wondering, what is he going to do with all of this money? Of course, we understand the whole money is not coming to him. There are several angles to which those monies will go. You have his current club. You have taxes to pay. You have his manager. You have a few, agents and all of that. So, but in the final analysis, there's a chunk of the money coming to him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't forget, that's just the one-off transaction costs, all right, as it were. There's the remuneration he gets on a weekly basis. Sometimes, Queen, you hear as much as £100,000 weekly. You hear £40,000. You hear £75,000 weekly. And you do the math in Naira terms. You're wondering, how much does the president earn? You're wondering, how is he going to spend this money? That's why sometimes you're not surprised when you see the kind of lavish lifestyle some of them live. Private jets, some of the best cars in the world, houses on some very expensive elite islands, and things like that, because the money has to go somewhere. Of course, people are going to say, you have to invest. What has he already invested in? He has shares in blue chip companies. He has invested offshores, including sometimes in what you call tax havens. He has done a lot, and he has also done some public good, maybe by way of supporting young people, aspiring footballers, teenagers, some girl child courses, just help the community, take them from one level to another and things like that. So there's a whole lot of money. But whether or not I've given it a thought my whole life, I have not, because I don't want to be depressed. When you hear the amounts, it has the way of sinking you into depression. And then you're wondering, at my age, do I still stand a chance of switching into football? I'm blessed with 2 girls, for example. If any of them wakes up tomorrow and says they want to do sports, God bears me witness, I'll put my life in it.
I know, right? The benefits of, and the pride that comes with being the father of a renowned,
right, and they make you proud on a global scale.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, this is where we call it a wrap on our newspaper review today. We'll take a quick break now, and when we come back, the conversation with our guest continues on local government autonomy. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodou. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather round, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that again? Because
that this country gets it right?
who are these bandits?
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies to, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
When you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASIS strike.
You have done your work and put us to the wall. We are not the slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Well, thank you for staying with us, everyone. My first discussion this morning is about to be on the road, and I'm joined by James Ugochukwu. He's an election analyst and good governance advocate, doubles as Executive Director, African Center for Entrepreneurship and Information Development. James, it's always a pleasure to have you on Global Morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great. So you and I have talked about good governance a lot of times on different levels, but now it is at a grassroots level in particular. This morning, the Punch newspaper has an editorial, of course, put out by the editorial board of the newspaper, trying to pick holes in the judgment of the Supreme Court. Of course, we have also seen some governors or seen political analysts, some of them like yourself, saying that this judgment is not a blessing as some Nigerians believe that it is. What's your assessment of this Supreme Court verdict?
Well, we have to be nuanced on this particular issue, right, because it's what we have been yearning all this while. We want the government to get to the grassroots, and of course, the local government is the third tier that is closer to the grassroots. Now, it's a case of, okay, you are giving me the power, but actually I don't have that particular power to exert the authority as supposed to be, because the local government is a creation of the Constitution, quite all right. Section 7, Section 1 to 6 of the 1999 Constitution as amended made provision for the local government council. But you see that in the second schedule of the Constitution now, most of the powers that is local government should be wielding, they will derive the authority from the state legislature, they will derive the authority from the governors of the state. So where all those school of thought are coming from is the real independence of the local government beyond Supreme Court pronouncement. So are they actually going to be free from the influences of the governors? Will some of them have the capacity, to raise revenue to run the local government? Because what did they say? He who pays the piper dictates the tune. So if they are getting their fund from the governor, yeah, let's leave the other part that they are going to be getting their allocation from the federal government. Right. The question is that allocation going to be enough to run the local government the way it is? The answer is no. So other issue again is capacity. Have the capacity be built enough to run the local government, because most of the local government are completely under the armpits of the governors. They control the revenue, they control the administration and everything, and the local government chairman or caretaker in most cases. Right. Because a lot of states are here to conduct local government election for a very long time. So most of them now won't be able to actually run local government the way it is, because you can't do what you have not been practicing all this while. So I think these are the challenges we are looking at. But the other hand is that, yes, the local government autonomy is here, and of course we should be looking at starting from somewhere and progressing from there.
As of today, we understand there are a few states, one of them being Taraba State under Governor Kefas, now setting up committees by way of trying to drive the some sort of compliance with regards to this verdict by the Supreme Court. But it will appear from even your own narrative now that this verdict by the Supreme Court itself does not fully divorce local governments as a tier of government from the apron strings of governors as we know it. Some governors have come out to say, well, it's a burden that has been lifted off of us. We're happy about it. We have some relief now. Is that just playing to the gallery, or is it realistic to say, yes, even though local governments going forward will have to deal with, like you said, issues of capacity, issues around being able to run themselves independent of state governments, is it realistic to say local governments are now better off, generally speaking, than they were 2 weeks ago?
Well, it's too early to start making such analysis. You just gave birth to the child.
Yes.
So I strongly believe that it's something that as time progresses, we'll get better at it. It's just like the democracy we are practicing now. Even though we've not gotten there yet, at least we can celebrate 25 years of uninterrupted democracy. And of course, the people power are rising. People are getting to find their voice and hold the people in government accountable to some extent. Now, coming to the local government, yes, the local government is still going to be firmly tied to the apron string of most of the state governors till we continue coming up with policies, programs, and initiative to untie them from the local government, the governor's apron string. A case in point is the way and manner the governors run the local government election. Statistically, you can confidently say that most states that run local government election, that the whole local government will end up being won by the ruling party.
Right.
A case in point is Adamawa now,
Delta,
and Delta State.
Right.
So a situation where the local government, all the local government chairmanship position is being won by the political party tells you a lot. So, but we cannot still use that to throw the baby and the bathwater away. It's something that I believe strongly that with time we can actually separate the two. By the time the local government chairman started knowing that they were the power, and by the time the people start rising and start holding them accountable, and not the governors. By the time the anti-graft agency will start holding them accountable for misappropriation of funds, not the governors, then I think subsequent people that will come up on board will be very, very careful that, okay, it's no longer game as usual. We need to do what we need to do to keep the local government running. And of course, with political consciousness of the people, by the time they know that this fund is coming directly from the federation account, they should now be able to say, okay, this money is now coming directly. This is what is available. This is where our chairman is. This is the content of the budget. Can we start doing budget line tracking to ensure that what are contained in the budget are executed at the community level? Because we are looking at local government, maybe some of them don't have more than 15 different communities or so. Right. So now we'll be looking at, okay, what have you done for us and all that. So the government is actually closer to the people. And by the time that pressure is on the governor, and of course, on the local government chairperson, then the local government chairperson will start rethinking the so-called loyalty to the state government or the state houses of assembly.
It's interesting. Every time we talk about this autonomy, these verdicts by the Supreme Court, it will appear the only thing we're looking at is the monetary aspect of it, the allocation that comes to the
absolutely.
Exactly. But what else does this verdict actually address in this regard?
Well, what this verdict actually addresses is that beyond the allocation of funds from the local, the federal government, we should be looking at revenue generation in the states. In the local government.
Yes.
They will now be looking at resource control now. Resources that are found in the local government now, who is going to be in charge of it? Like if a local government has some kind of solid mineral deposit of interest, who is going to be in charge? Is it the states
or the local government?
Or the local government or the federal government? So this may cause some kind of constitutional crisis that we are yet to check as it is. Now we're talking about the administration. Now we're talking about minimum wage and all that. Okay, if minimum wage now is raised to say 100 and something thousand now, how many local government will be able to pay minimum wage and all that? We're talking about infrastructure and all those things. Where do we demarcate the infrastructural responsibility of the state from the local government, and who funds what? So these are the things that we are going to be looking at. Then we're talking about even the leadership recruitment at the local government level. Who will be in charge of the election at the local government level? Some people are proposing that the INEC should be conducting election at the local government level, and SEC should be removed from it, because they believe that SEC will be under the influence of the governors. Now the question is, okay, even if INEC is conducting the election, INEC is in Abuja here, I'm the state governor, I know the people in the local government. How will INEC determine that I will not foist my own stooges across the local government? So these are the issues. So it goes beyond just you now have money to spend and you are free. So it's deeper than that, actually.
I can imagine. Okay, we're going to go deep into this conversation. But first off, we need to take a quick break. At this point, when we return, James and I will talk a little more about issues around the local government and grassroots governance in particular, just after this short break. Do stay with us.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies to, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASIS strike.
You have done their work and put us to the wall. We are not the slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Global TV concept is the emerging, brand that everybody must watch. So I subscribe, and I'm prescribing that we must all be ready to begin to watch Global TV.
So keep watching Global TV, especially for updates on agriculture, food, commodities, and without food, there is no great nation.
So please watch Global TV, because it's going to change your life.
Thank you for staying with us, everyone. So, James, I was just wondering, before that break a while ago, you were talking about how that you also realized there are calls by some people to have a situation where INEC conducts local government polls as against the current arrangement, where it is the respective states, independent electoral commissions doing that. But then, as we speak on this show this morning, there are clear indications that the National Assembly is considering a piece of legislation to empower INEC to conduct elections at the grassroots level. But quite frankly, away from politics, is it not the sensible thing to do?
Well, the thing is, as I always said, what we should be looking at is institutional strengthening. Has nothing to do with if it's INEC that is conducting the election. Or the SEC. Because the same INEC, we are saying that we want them to conduct the election. People are still having confidence issue with them. So what makes us think that by the time they go to the state the story
They'll do better.
Will be different. So it's all about institutional strengthening, you know. But institutional strengthening in the sense that the SEC should be empowered in such a way that they should be able to conduct credible election. And of course, leadership recruitment of the people that will man that place is very, very much important. Like I always said, it doesn't make sense that the INEC chairman is being appointed by the president. You understand? The leadership of INEC, from the chairman to all the commissioner, should be the responsibility of the National Judicial Council and not a president appointing the person. Because we are looking at going into a match and one person is appointing the referee. The referee should come from an independent source. The same thing with the state SEC, because as it is now, it's the state governors that appoint the SEC chairman. So we did not expect the SEC chairman not to be loyal to the state governor.
In the case of the state, who should appoint the chairman of SEC?
Good. They can always make a provision for that.
Away from the governor?
Away from governor. Any other provision away from the governor. Even if we say, okay, INEC should go ahead and be the one to conduct the election, don't we think that INEC can have overbearing influence by whoever to ensure that the whole 774 local governments are being manned by one political party, the ruling party?
Which would be far worse than even what we are complaining of currently.
So it has nothing to do. It's about institutional strengthening. So we need to rescue our institution in this country from the grip of the strong men. They are the one holding the institution at the jugular. So it has nothing to do with INEC or the SEC. So long as the institutions are weak, they are still going to conduct sham election. Sham election is what you are seeing now, that the ruling party will win all the local government, just as it is now in Nigeria. Now let's assume Nigeria is under one single political party. That's no longer multi-party democracy.
There are calls now for more states to be created, particularly in the southeast, and then of course maybe one more in the southwest. More states evidently means more local governments, councils. Is that a blessing or a curse?
Well, I will speak from a biased manner because I'm from the southeast.
Right.
The southeast should have one more state, so we are at par with other regions that have 6 states, maybe with the exception of northwest that have 7. Yes, creating more local government. Those local governments are already in existence as we speak. They are only mapping it out under a new name and all that. So I don't think it's going to be much burden on the new states or the federal government, as the case may be. And of course, mapping out some of these states now, you should be able to look at the sustainability of the states beyond mapping it out. Do they have resources? Do they have the capacity to generate revenue? Do they have human resources? Do they have natural resources? These are the things that you need to be looking at before mapping out the state. So it's very, very, it's a germane cause that need to be pushed seriously, actually.
Some people will argue, lawyers in particular, and then, of course, political analysts, that's one of the ways we can actually introduce the sort of reforms that Nigeria critically needs at this point is to, again, take a second, closer look at our constitution. Do we need to do a review of the, amendments of the constitution before we can actually ensure that those reforms happen?
Well, there are some reforms that need to be an act of the constitution that you cannot just go ahead and carry out those reforms. Because if you do that, you run into some legal tussle with some legal eggheads. So, of course, the issue of constitution review is ongoing as we speak. A lot of memoranda have been compiled, and of course, it's an opportunity for any stakeholder or any person of interest to submit their memoranda on the other part, on any part of the constitution they deem fit should be amended. Of course, look at the call for memoranda, for instance, from House of Representatives, for instance, that has a lot of issues that need to be tackled. Land use acts, this local government autonomy, for instance, now which the president decided to actually work on it on his own. Inland waterways, police reform, whether we should have state police and all that, and many other issues under the constitution that they think need to be tinkered, because the constitution we have now were given to us by the military, and of course there's need for the constitution to be properly amended to reflect the the wishes of the people. Because if you say we, the Nigerian people, it should reflect that. And of course, if it's even possible, we should have a brand new constitution completely that we can, convene a national conference and allow people to make input on what they think should be the content of the constitution going forward. So it is very, very important that that should take place, that exercise.
If the spirit and letter, so to speak, of this verdict by the Supreme Court were to be implemented to a logical end, would you say that that ultimately would have broken the influence of the governors completely?
Well, the thing is, we have a political class that hardly obeys court injunction. Are we getting it? Now, I know that the federal government is now twisting them that, look, if you don't constitute a proper democratically elected local government system, that will not receive this thing. Most of them will just wave the whole thing away. The president had to take this particular bold step he took because over time, if the thing should pass through the National Assembly, we've seen several times in the past, most past presidents have tried it. Jonathan tried it, it didn't work. Buhari tried it, didn't work, because by the time the National Assembly passes the law, when they take it to the States House of States of Assembly for concurrence, they ended up saying that they don't want local government autonomy, and that's why the president took them to court to do what he did now. So if the Supreme Court did not pass this particular verdict now, for instance, now, we'll still be rolling on the same spot, because the state governor know what they are getting from most of this local government. It's completely under their grip. They put caretaker committees there. They are in charge of the fund. They are in charge of the revenue, and they don't really want to let that go. So this one now is a very big hit below the belt for them, and of course they are all running around now to ensure that they conduct the local government election. No matter how they conduct it, let it be a democratically constituted local government system in line with Section 7 or Section 2 of the Constitution.
Not some sort of ad hoc caretaker committee arrangement.
Caretaker committee that I don't know who they are. They just put the person there. The person will be there for 4 good years.
You just referred to the action of the federal government as a bold step. In what other critical areas of our national life do we need to take such bold steps as well? Because, I mean, look at the Supreme Court judgment. It was in record short time before the judgment came through. It didn't take so long. Can't we replicate that in other critical aspects of our life?
There are plenty of aspects that you'll be looking at now. So if you are talking of different aspects, there are just too many. Look at the food crisis, for instance, now. As it is now, I don't even know who the Minister of Agriculture is. And the federal government should be able to declare a state of emergency on agriculture, as the case may be. As it is now, what the government is doing is giving palliative to people. And I keep on saying that we don't feed able-bodied people like chicken. Create an enabling environment for farmers to go back to farm. The another issue is insecurity. There should be a matching order to give order that, look, all these insurgents and the like should be dispelled from wherever they are to ensure that, yes, people can go back to farm and, produce food for people to eat, and several other ones. So the Supreme Court, of course, they are supreme in the sense that they know what is good for the country, and of course they should use that office very well to ensure that what is good for the country is pushed out there and ensure the implementation as well.
I think that's interesting to say. You look at a place like the U.S. You see that the federal police, basically the FBI, you have the state police or the police departments across all the states, and then you have the sheriff, which is very local, so closer to the people. They can even go from house to house, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood. Should there come a time, or maybe this is already the time, for us to consider having such a localized policing system, maybe tied to local government administration architecture, in such a way that we can also fight insecurity? You just talked about the idea of declaring a state of emergency on food. Farmers can't go to farm now. The organized private sector is saying, looking at the 40-point-something% food inflation, we only can blame insecurity as a challenge. So would you say that local government system of policing will address that sort of insecurity?
Like, if you backtrack to what I said earlier, declaring the local government autonomy is just the first step
All right.
The second step is the structure of the local government system. So now, when you say autonomy now, are we prepared to go the long haul of the autonomy? Because if we talk autonomy now, financial autonomy, administrative autonomy, and of course the security architecture you are talking about now. Now, if you have a situation where the local government is still at the grip of the governors, what becomes of the state police or local government police?
Right.
You see, so it becomes a very big challenge. So these are some issues in the system now that the Supreme Court cannot just make a pronouncement and it becomes a law, because the structure needs to be built to absorb having all this. That's the point I'm trying to make. So for instance, now we have that running in the United States because it's something that they practice over time and they've mastered it. So in our own case now, we've seen regional security system that have been put by the region. Some states have their own security outfits, but if we start carrying out audit of their performance, their action, their operation, you see a lot of cases of human rights abuse and high-handedness, and the misuse by the state government, just like the case of Ebonyi State then, where Bubago are being used to flog opposition and all that. And at the end of the day, today now in the Southeast now, Bubago is not a very strong force the way it's supposed to be. And their idea is for them to, secure the region. As we speak, they have not been able to do anything, so to say, because we still have high level of insecurity in the Southeast. So these are the issues that we should be looking at. So for us to get to that point, we need to start proper restructuring. How do we start proper restructuring? By ensuring that some of these institutions are independent as possible. Because if we don't create a structure that will make them independent, if we leave it completely at the beck and call of the governors, they will be subject to abuse at the end of the day and will not achieve the result we want to achieve.
I can imagine. But I'd like to say a big thank you to you, James Ugochukwu, election analyst and good governance advocate, for coming to share with us this morning. We do hope you have a great day ahead of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
We'll take a quick break at this point, everyone. Coming up next is a focus on efforts being made by government to tackle the hardship, economic hardship that Nigerians are grappling with at the moment, and what the policy impact of the Tinubu administration is. All of that will come shortly after this break. Do stay with us.
Ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chong Annabelle Joseph on Global Television.
In an ever-busy world, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jermaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
I'm joined now by Olufowobi Olarewaju Desmond. There's a political analyst, and he's here to weigh in on the issues around economic hardship being experienced by most Nigerians right now, and what exactly the implications of policies in this direction under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu have been so far. Of course, we've seen a handful of these policies, and then we've been monitoring and following very closely the implications and how that these policies are being implemented. I'll say a big thank you to you, Desmond, for coming on the program this morning.
It is a pleasure, Huyi, to be in your studio, and good morning, Nigerians. And I will try as much as possible to be objective with whatsoever discussion that I will be engaging in.
I can imagine. That's a pledge. You see, of course, you are a Nigerian who is resident in the country here. What has been your assessment? So I don't want us to go into all of the problems, but let's talk about your own assessment of efforts being made by governments, whether the federal, states, or local, in addressing these problems.
Thank you for that. First of all, I would want to just do a little bit of reminder. Since we gained independence in 1960, Nigeria had their share of some social, cultural, civil, and all that kind of conflicts and challenges. And then there have been period of political crisis that greeted the country for the period of about 33 years. And then in 1999, when we returned back to Fourth Republic with Olusegun Obasanjo, the country has since then maintained a consistent independence and democratic government from 1999 to date, about 20 years, thereabout. And we've had some presidents come in and go out. It was first Olusegun Obasanjo, then he handed the mantle of leadership to Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua handed over to Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Ebele Jonathan handed over to President Muhammadu Buhari. And Muhammadu Buhari, while leaving the office just last year, he gave the mantle of leadership to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That alone is a progress for us as a country. We've had our fair share of some of the challenges. Like I said, there have been corruption, one of the biggest challenges in our part of the world, and overstretching influence of third parties. What I can describe as neo-colonialism, and that is still present right now, is a big challenge. And ethnic interest, and at some point in this part of Nigeria, since we returned to Fourth Republic, we also have the issue of polarization among the different ethnic groups, ethnic division, as well as religious diversion. But right now, I think we're beginning to get it right because those are mere distractions. Now, Nigerians are now facing the real problem. And the real problem we're having in Nigeria, extended to Africa, is economic challenges. And the economic challenges that we have, there have been different interpretations to it. It could be political, it could be ethnic, it could be religious, it could be youth bulge and all that. But the truth of the matter is that we've been making some level of development, improvement. We are not yet where we are supposed to be, but we are not where we used to be. I tell people something. Though we might be facing some economic hardship, you know, I can tell you that between the 20 years of our governance, there are periods in this part of the world that the country is not actually doing the right thing. We're only given opium by the government. They are not doing the real business of governance, sustainable governance. You know, you need to know that there is no between just governing people and putting foundation or putting in the best foundation that will sustain the country for progress, unity, and prosperity.
Is President Bola Tinubu laying the right foundation right now?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I don't want to speak for him, but because of the topic, I must be fair.
Right.
The man is laying the right foundation for the country, but he's not getting the necessary support, complementary support from the people and some of the people he has appointed. So far, so good. I looked at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all the policies, check. Although there are some policies he has made at the very wrong time.
For example, what are some of those policies?
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the suspension of subsidy in May 2023. It was a flop. Why the policy is a good policy, everybody would come on board and do that same thing. If Atiku were to be employed then, he would do the same thing. If Peter Obi was elected, he would do the same thing. But I don't think they would do it the way he did it.
So the approach was the problem?
The approach was the problem. That approach gave rise to some of the problems that we used 1 year to manage some of the problems. We didn't even resolve them. We're not resolving because we're just giving interventions. Do you know that the suspension of subsidy without certain infrastructure in place or putting certain mechanisms in place has given rise to the hardship? And the hardship rose drastically, rapidly, that it overwhelmed governance, that they were just jumping into different policies at the same time, and none of the policies could actually meet Nigerians at the point of their need. And that is why we are where we are today. But 1 year has gone. So far, so good. The second year in his office, we are beginning to see improvement. We are beginning to see the results of what he has done and some of the policies that he has put in place. Now, subsidy has gone, and the fuel is now standing tall, standing alone in the market, and the market is now the force that is now shaping. And that is what the president since 1960 are supposed to have done. If, for example, subsidy has gone since 1960, you'll find out that in 2024, we will not be talking about the increase in price rate because Nigeria would have been used, would have built certain infrastructure that is lacking. Now, do you know that one of the reasons why Dangote hastened up to build that refinery and people, not just his money, people show interest in supporting that project is because of this subsidy removal. And then what that subsidy removal will do for our oil sector is that you see more investors want to invest so they can take advantage of the market and make profit, and also put the country in the map of one of the sufficient producer of PMS.
If we look at the astronomical increase in the prices of food today, because no matter how much you and I talk here, the average Nigerian who has not had breakfast today or has no idea whatsoever where their first meal will come from is probably not interested in all of the English we're speaking on the program this morning, because my friend would say it is what you have in your tummy that controls your head. Now, that said, can we blame the skyrocketing prices of food items entirely on the removal of your subsidy?
75% to a very large extent. You see, so I was on the program yesterday, and I was talking about the same issue. Now I made mention of the reason why there is high inflation. It's not just because of the removal of subsidy or because we do not have sufficient food, but it's also as a result of the policy of floating our naira to woo investors to the country. That also contributed, because we now have countries in West Africa states that prefer to now come to Nigeria and import and take our food. They are now exporting a lot of food from Nigeria, from the northeast, from the northwest, and some part of the south-south to Cameroon, to Chad, to Niger, to Benin Republic, because of their naira, as their currency has gained appreciable value over the naira. So they now prefer, instead of paying so much money from Germany, bringing food from Germany, bringing food from some other part of the world, they prefer to just do a shortcut and from the region, come to Nigeria, where we have surplus food, because the policy of President Buhari, the revolution of President Buhari in agriculture actually paved way for food. So to some extent, it will interest you that to know that ever since our land border has been closed and ban on some food items, Nigeria have done to a certain level, fed themselves, and that is a plus, because before now we are putting so much pressure on the naira, importing food to the country, including maize, millet, rice, and the rest of them. But because of the revolution in agriculture put in place by President Buhari, we saw increase in local production of some of these items, and that, to a large extent, has contributed significantly to our economy. Now, this is the real problem. The real problem is human factor. Most Nigerians do not see themselves as a partner in the Nigerian project, and that also affects us, contributed to the hardship. You know, I said earlier when I started my speech that the fuel subsidy is a good thing. Removal of fuel subsidy is a good thing, but it came at the wrong time. You know, ask me why. There are things that government is doing now that they were supposed to have used 6 months, suffer more for 6 good months. The country will not collapse like they said. The president said if he allowed the subsidy regime to continue, that the country will not survive. But I tell the president, I challenge the president, that the country would have succeeded for more 6 months, from that May 29 to about
maybe November,
to around November, before the suspension, or even leave it to January 2024 and suspend subsidy. And then what are you supposed to do within that windows? Float our currency like you have done. Then number 2, do other things, but don't remove the subsidy. What you would have done is that put certain infrastructure like the CNG, compressed natural gas. Make sure that most of our vehicles are converted. Some of the money, needless, the money you're giving to state to food pack, you know, we're giving food pack to the country. Billions, about 5 billion naira was given to different states in Nigeria, you know, to support as intervention because of the hardship that the subsidy costs. You don't need to do that. What you would have done, that money as a whole, take it to China, bring CNG kits, go to motor parks, partner with National Union of Road Workers, partner with NOUA, RTW. Partner with the stakeholders in transport station sector, give them at a subsidized rate. Don't remove the subsidy yet. Use the money that you're going to use for some construction of some roads that you are doing, rain and all that.
Infrastructural projects.
Put the money on CNG, first of all. Make sure you have stations, because even now we are still struggling with just about 3 CNG stations in Abuja.
The whole of the
FCT. The whole of Abuja FCT. Although the government is making effort to ensure that we have it covered, FCT and other states in Nigeria. But you would have done that, partner with stakeholder, do a serious collaboration using the PPP model to ensure that we have the CNG stations across Nigeria, and then convert at a subsidized rate that CNG kit in vehicles, cars, buses, and the rest of them. And to some extent, you can bring in buses, long buses for civil servants that will be powered by CNG. Now, this is the measure that the government later resorted to when they were overwhelmed. And that's why I said part of our problem is governance. Not knowing what to do at the right time is one of the problems we have in this part of the world. If governance can be proactive, even the policies, we don't need to wait until conflict or issues complicates or complex, gets escalated before we intervene. We need to look at what could possibly happen in the next 2 months. What will happen to the country economy in the next 5 years, in the next 4 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 2 years,
and take action.
In the next 12 months, and start taking action, commensurable action that can combat the escalation of the negative impact of what will be happening in the global market, in the regional market, and in the local market. But we are not doing that, and that is why we are failing. Achiwaju needs to start thinking about the future, and some of the projects that is embarking on right now, I think they are more sustainable projects, like the rail track, the coastal road from Lagos to Calabar. They are all good things, and also to combat the economic hardship, like you said in this today's conversation. We saw last week during the Federal Executive Council, there was a meeting because of the hardship, because of now Nigeria is sitting about 33% inflation. That was the highest in many years. Nigeria
that's the headline inflation.
Yes. Nigeria has not seen that before in many years. That we have
all-time high.
All-time high. 33 to 40% increase in the inflation. So that is because of the process of producing goods or taking goods to the market. The cost of production gets so high to the point that there is no way things will not go that high. And that is because of the removal of subsidy and some of the floating of our naira's increment in the loan, the rates, interest rates on the loan, 26%. The interest rate now is 26%, and that is so high. So when you take money from the bank now, because of the interest rates, you need to increase the cost of your goods so that you can be able to pay back to the bank. So those are the factors that contributed to the increment. But don't forget that why these are some of the negative effects. We have not started feeling the positive effects of some of the policies of the president. What we are seeing right now is the negative effect. And you know that the middle of every successful project always look like a disaster. So I would want to appeal to the conscience of the Nigerian people. Critically, let's analyze the policies of the president. Where we need to show that we are the citizen of this country, we need to do that. And what are the rights and the responsibility of the citizen? The rights and the responsibility of citizens is beyond casting your votes, but also to monitor the policies of government, come in clusters, discuss about the policies, make recommendations, and support the implementation of those policies through different means that we have, that the law has provided, not by protesting, not by fighting, not by insulting the president, and not by making jest of the country and calling the country different names. That has affected this country in a negative way. We can put this country on the path of sustainable growth. when we, the citizens, see ourselves as partner in progress. Until that happens, we will not go anywhere. And I want to use this opportunity also to speak to Mr. President. There is one particular agency of the government that the federal government has ignored, and that is doing us bad. You know, one man said that when you understand the cause of your problem, you have solved the problem 50%. Now, what is the problem of why we have civil unrest in the society, insecurity, which is also contributing to hardship, economic hardship? Because of what? We have lost our values as Nigerians. Our value system has been depleted.
So you're saying we should go back to the National Orientation Agency?
Thank you so much. That was where I was going to. National Orientation Agency is an agency under Ministry of Information. It has been neglected. You know, I did my research and I realized that we have these offices in 774 local governments across the federation, but without funding. Most of their staff don't even go to office. You know why? Because they are not funded. They don't even have projects. They should be engaged. And that is why I'm happy with this local government autonomy. One of the campaigns we're going to start in the next few days is that local government must see to the first of all, before they start any project, let them work, let them partner with the National Orientation Agency and change certain scope and orientation of the people. We have lost our values. Killing is not part of our value as Nigerians. As seeing other person as a stranger is not part of value as Nigerian. Before, a Christian man and a Christian Muslim work together, live together as one. Before now, suddenly we have lost all this kind of value system and is affecting us as a people. So the National Orientation Agency, which is saddled with the responsibility of giving information to the people, letting people know about what the government is doing and how the people can partner with what the government is doing to see to the success of what the government is doing, and also reorientating national orientation that can bring about the unity of the state, of the country. They've not been giving money. It was I felt it was deliberate by some people during the military regime, you know, because of their selfish interest. But now we are in democratic government and we are talking about building legacies. One of the things that I would do if I have the opportunity to speak with the president is to tell him to fund the National Orientation Agency as much as it's funding the security sector. The reason is because you don't fight the security through conventional ways. You can also fight the insecurity by partnering with the people, what we call National People Intelligence Network, building people intelligence network, where people will see themselves as the first police before the man with uniform. They will be glad, they will be proud. You know what it means for somebody to say, I am a patriotic Nigerian. How many people have you encountered in recent time, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, that can be proud to say that I am a Nigerian? Nigeria is a beautiful land with great people, with rich diversity and culture, and those are our strengths that we now see as our threats, or as we now see as vices as our problem. They are not our problem. Diversity is not our problem, it's our strength. But we've not been able to constructively use this diversity
to the advantage of the country.
To harness.
I want to talk to you about something. Now that we're discussing hardship, economic hardship, that is. We understand as it stands right now, I'm sure you have seen that story yourself too. Yes. Now the federal government is sending 20 trucks of rice, of course bags of rice, to each state of the federation. That is 20 trucks for each state, including the Federal Capital Territory, all right, making 37. If you do the math, that's over 44,000 bags of rice. Is that a step in the right direction, or we're just scratching the surface?
We are scratching the surface, but it is very needed at this time. Some people are dying. You and I are privileged that we are not begging before we can eat our breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
I haven't seen the trucks yet, so I can't beg.
Some people don't even have access to 1 square meal, let alone 2 square meal per day. So in the meantime, to suppress the anger of the Nigerian people, because if there is so much hunger, it can lead to frustration, and frustration can lead to chaos, and chaos can bring the country down. A lot of people is hungry, and you know that an hungry man is an angry man. So we need to feed the stomach while we also feed the brain. And that is why we need to also monitor the policies and see how we can come up with initiatives to partner with, most people don't even know the work of ministries, agencies. Nigeria have one of the best policies for governance, but we've not been implementing due to lack of liquidity, lack of enough money and all that. So I hope when Nigerians see themselves as partners, they can do that. And you know, just last week or so, the government has announced that they are going to invest in importation of 10,000 trucks. It's not for government. The 10,000 trucks will be for the Nigerian people, farmers, to support farmland, and also charge the Ministry of Water Resources to engage, to start irrigation to farmland, to ensure that these farmlands across Nigeria have what they call access to water, so they can continue with their farming even in dry season. That is what I call revolution. You don't talk about revolution, economic revolution, without going into agriculture. We've been talking about trying to diversify our economy, you know, for a very long time. But still, government is still not doing enough in regards to that. But I thank God to the government of Asiwaju, at least expanding governance to marine and solid minerals. You understand? Still development. But yet, we've not seen the results because they are still work in progress. But I hope before he spent 4 years in office, Nigeria will begin to see life from some of those expansion that has been created by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, they are giving waivers. The government has given waivers to importation of millet and agricultural equipment and all that. That means more people can now go into agriculture. And one of the major problems is that people are complaining hardship. Why? Because of food. Food is taking too much from our pocket. And if we can solve the problem of food, I think to some extent we've solved the problem of the country. Another thing that the government needs to look at is our fuel, our oil, crude oil. Government need to also make some serious intervention in modular refineries, and to see any political crisis we're having around the Port Harcourt refineries, Warri refineries, Kaduna refineries is completely resolved, so that these refineries can serve the Nigerian people. So we'll not just depend only on Dangote refineries, though there is a good news from Dangote refinery. So all these are the things that government is doing. Government supported Dangote refinery with about 20% of the equity as part of the shareholder in Dangote, so they can control to some extent, maybe price Stakes. And others, have some stake. And yesterday, Dangote has announced that by August 2024, Nigerians will have the first taste of Dangote PMS. You know what that means? That means that the pressure will be reduced from importation of petroleum from outside Nigeria, and then some of this scarcity that we're having in Nigeria will gradually vanish. And another thing to do to us is that I want to see what will happen. I want to see the policies that will happen in terms of price control. I want to see how excess supply from Dangote will force the market, you know, as simple law of demand. Right. When there is high supply, there will be reduction in demand, and that will affect the price template. So I believe that by the time Dangote is supplying more to the Nigeria market, it will now reduce the hurdles of bringing fuel from outside Nigeria. And you know what contributed to price of petroleum is the importation cost. And by the time it has now been reduced, it will, to some extent, affect the price. That is to tell you that some of the cost of production and some of the cost of producing items that led to the increment in the price will be resolved, and Nigeria can now be put on the track of progress.
On a final note now, Olarewaju, I've heard people say that even everyday Nigerians, some of them, they probably have their ears on the ground within the corridors of power, as it were. They say, look, President Bola Tinubu means well. As a matter of fact, he has a beautiful blueprint for getting Nigeria out of the woods. However, there are members of his cabinet, many of them very key members, who are beginning to constitute a clog in the wheel of progress. And they particularly mention ministers, for instance. Do you think there's any validity in that argument?
I don't think so. Because one of the things that the president has done since they got into office is to ensure that, because they know that human beings must be checked. Because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. What it did was to appoint, is it Adisa?
Bala Usman.
Yes. To be the one in charge of monitoring performance and evaluating.
By cabinet members.
Yes. To monitor the performance of cabinet members and to evaluate the performance of government at all levels. And they also launched an application sometimes this year.
Like an online portal to track.
That the Nigerian people can give feedback if they are satisfied with the response from the people. And even during that, maybe towards the beginning of the second quarter, there was reports about the performance of the ministers 1 year in office of Ashwaju, where Adelabu, Minister of Powers, and the Minister of Education were rated low. And Minister of Immigration as well as FCC were rated high. You know, that is to tell you that the president is monitoring what is happening among his ministry. And you know, the Minister of Humanitarian, Dr. Betta Edu,
the suspended
when she also messed up, immediately, you know, she was suspended. So I don't want to believe or join argument with those who believe that some members of his cabinet are misbehaving, unless I have evidence and I have information. Trust me, I'm the voice of the people. When I have that information, I will call this minister out and I will drag him like generator. And then the president will get to know about him, and then that person will be suspended as well. So for now, I've not seen any information apart from personal misconduct. You know, some people naturally, when they work too fast, people call it arrogance. When they are too busy with work, they are not picking calls. Some people want to say that the person is arrogant and is not responsive. So I don't judge people based on that little or myopic issues. But if you have evidence of misconduct, gross misconduct or misappropriation, bring it to Fobi Desmond and let's see how we can drag the minister. And I tell you, within 2-3 weeks, that person will be removed in office.
Fobi Desmond, political analyst, I'd like to say a big thank you for coming on the program to share these thoughts with us this morning.
It is a pleasure, and I want to encourage Nigerians to be steadfast and be patriotic.
I think that's a very fine place to leave it this morning. Incidentally, that's all we have for you on Global Morning this beautiful Tuesday. We do hope you make the most of your day, I mean, whatever is left of it, depending on where you're watching us from. Remember, as always, that the views of our guests are their opinions. This is Global Television. I'm Uyi Agmofegbe. On behalf of myself, Queen Agaba, and the production team, we say we appreciate the investment of your time with us on all of our programs. We'll see you again. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work and put us to the wall. We are not the slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.